This is We Trying. You know what we do at this point. We're coming to you with another Tape Press Play. And this one, we were going to talk about the Game Awards 2022. Jeff Keighley hosted another event. This is the ninth one, I believe, because I think he said next year's going
Mhm.
to be 10. Um, I think the awards, I mean, just quickly for me, I think the awards keep getting better and better in terms of what Jeff Keighley brings to it. I just remember before when they were the Spike Awards, and
Mhm.
they are so different from that.
How
Um,
so? Because I don't remember when it was Spike. To be honest with you.
when it was Spike, it was definitely more things of like people would be like, "Oh, this would not fly now." In terms of like some of the award categories is what they were called, and like the ogling of women and stuff like that.
Or
It was
some of
just
the
definitely,
bits.
yeah. I mean, you could definitely tell it was made by Spike TV, which is a,
Well,
generally a male dominated channel.
I was about to bring that up. Well, was it was it that way because it was on Spike? In other words, was Spike, since
Probably,
Spike put it on, they catered it to that type of audience, thinking ignorantly that this is what game a gamer is, instead of a gamer can be anybody. It could be an 87-year-old grandmother. It could be a 13-year-old
yeah,
the 13-year-old boy. It could be a 27-year-old man. It's
sure, yeah. I mean, I definitely think once Jeff was able to get out of that and start his own video game awards, I think the
Mhm.
show gets better and better every year. And that's kind of what we're talking. We're talking about the ups and downs, what we liked, what we didn't like. We'll kind of break it down, what some of the big reveals were, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
Pacing wise. What did you think? So, like, out of all the ones you've seen, so you said this is number nine.
I believe so. I think this is the ninth one.
So next year will be 10. The X.
Hmm.
What do you think pacing wise? Because Ken from Chicago left a comment on our page. He said this clocked in at 3 hours and 54 seconds or something. I forget what the exact comment was, but he was like, "This is 3 hours," and I was like, "They've always been 3 hours." I thought. Um, so
Now, question, and I didn't time it. Is does that include the pre-show?
mm-mm, goes from 8 to 11.
It went from 8 to 11.
Hmm. I can
Okay.
tell you that because I watched all of it straight through,
Hmm.
and it says because if I remember correctly, if you go to our page, he puts up there. Hold on, I'm on our page right now. The comment was it went 3 hours to 32. It went from 3 hours to 32 seconds, and our stream clocks in at um. I'm looking at time.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, you could fill the void. I'm
I
just
mean, I
trying to
mean,
get.
no, I don't know where you're going with the point, the time, the pacing.
I'm just
I
saying,
think the
like
show was fine.
yeah.
Yeah, to me, the thing is,
So you don't mind that it's 3 hours. I guess what I'm asking, you don't mind that it's 3 hours or it's this long, and you felt the pace.
me
I'm asking about
personally,
was the pacing
I
fine?
I could go for give me 5 hour show.
Whoa,
Let me just be
really?
inundated with games. The length of it isn't the issue for me. What the issue is, what we see. If you're giving me like 5 hours, like, oh my gosh, this is incredible content, I'll watch it. So the
Really?
length doesn't matter. Yeah, the length
Okay.
isn't that matter to me. Um, it the pacing for me is like highs and lows,
See,
and
here's
I
my
think
question
this
though.
job. Mhm.
But before you finish, the you say it's the pacing and it's not the length. And you're an executive producer. You produce shows for a living. You're literally saying that 3 hours is not enough for you. Do you think people would watch a four to
No, no,
five
no, no,
hour?
no, 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 no. I'm saying I would watch that. I
Okay,
think three
okay,
hours is fine. I'm saying if they went 5 hours and they had great content, I think
okay.
people would do whatever. Um, but for me, I think it's about your highs and lows, and you have your peaks and your valleys and all that kind of stuff. And I think this show, compared to years past, I think Jeff did a good job of having. I don't know that anything completely blew me away, but I don't know that I was ever completely bored either. I think this one was fine, and I think that's an okay pace. Um,
I was not completely blown away, but I will say that I was shocked by some of the actors that he's been able to get to secure for it. Um, I was Keanu Reeves still has one of the best moments. when he walked out and everybody was like, "Oh shit, that's Keanu Reeves," and the people, somebody yelled, "You're breathtaking." He's like, "You're
That's
breathtaking."
that's E3. That's not this.
Really?
Yeah, that was E3.
If you'd have put a gun to my head, I'd have thought that was Game Awards. I
No,
honestly like that. So
that was at the Xbox
wow,
E3. Well, I don't remember which year, but yeah,
you're right.
I know I'm right.
Calm down.
Just saying.
Not always. Um, oh wait, knocked up my earpiece. So that's weird because I'm trying to think of what my favorite Game Award moment was then.
My
And
Game Award moment was Michelle
dude,
Rodriguez,
I
and
knew
Vin
you were gonna
Diesel
say that.
coming out, and not because it was good, because it was just so weird. Because Vin Diesel was talking about, yo, that new trailer for Fast Nine. I think at that point it was incredible. Y'all not gonna believe it. And then when Michelle Rodriguez, I love Michelle Rodriguez, friend of the show, but when she said Tekken instead of Tekken, I was like, oh, they're about to eat you alive, girl.
Yeah, but the problem was the trailer wasn't good.
Wait, huh?
Wait. Sorry. Were you talking about the Furious part, or was this the movie or the game?
Oh,
Because
no,
those were two. Because
I'm not talking
remember,
about
there
the
were two different
actual.
times.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about the game. The game and the
Okay.
trailer
Because
was
okay.
garbage.
Yeah.
I'm just
Because
talking about them coming out and talking about whatever they were
okay.
doing. That to me was great. That was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Um, when he was able to get at the time, who would have been? It would have been Phil Spencer. It would have been Reggie Fils-Aimé,
Hmm.
and maybe I think Sean Layton. Essentially the big execs for Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox all on the same stage at one time to talk. I thought that was pretty cool.
Okay. So how would you rate this?
On a what? Eight at F, 1 to 10. What are we doing?
When we always do out of five, man.
Out of five.
Stop acting brand new like you ain't never been here.
I give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's solid for me. For
Yeah.
me, it would have to be completely bad. I don't know what that would look like, but anytime somebody is able to put on a show where they're talking about games, it's probably gonna get an automatic at least a point bump for me. I'm like, okay, this is what I love. So I'm just in my element watching this stuff. So that's always gonna be great for me.
Okay.
You?
Um, it was nice to be able to watch the whole thing.
Hmm.
Once again, I still wasn't able to just watch it without distractions. So if you remember before, all the other times we have done this, I had to work. So I
Hmm.
literally had to like leave during certain parts, or and this time was different because you had to work, and so I did it here.
Hmm.
And I I this is going to come out wrong, but I don't want it to sound, I don't want people to take it the wrong way, because I was home and I'm not home at night a lot of times with my family. I felt obligated to help my wife out, even though she didn't ask for my help. She didn't want my help, honestly. She was like, no, just do your stream. And I was like, no, if I take Owen with me, then you have an easier time at night getting Evan to bed. And so I had a lot going on, because then there was a time when Katie was like, Evan is acting up now. He doesn't want to put clothes on. He doesn't put his pajamas on. I was like, well, I'll bring him around here and let him be on the stream. And he literally sat down and let me put clothes on him. Katie whispered, "That's on backwards." But he was naked earlier, so this is a win. And so it was a
So
little
just so I'm clear, you didn't have a naked baby on our channel, did you?
no,
Okay, thank God.
no.
I don't want us getting claimed before we make it big. Okay,
But
go ahead.
one of my children did reach for a beer. Hey! You're supposed to do the thing.
I'm doing it right now. There we go. Like, comment, subscribe. Yep.
I was about to say you got to do the thing.
Uh huh.
So so it I haven't gotten a chance to actually watch the video game awards like I want to, like just concentrate and focus on it. But I will say, from what I was able to see and the people who were with me in the chat, shout out to Renee. Um, I want to say Robert, Baby Toshiro. Uh, I think it was James Smith. I
Really
wanted to,
shout out. Yeah, really shout out to those people because we know it didn't look good on our end in
no,
terms
it
of
did
you
not.
seeing the part. So we
And
really
and
appreciate you
and
guys just hanging out in the chat.
and I want to throw a shout out to Michael, because Michael warned me my laptop might not handle it, and I was like, nah. It should work.
You don't listen. You
Sir,
like
you
to
don't listen. You don't listen.
we both don't listen.
That
But
is
you
true.
like to
We're
be
bad.
you
We are terrible at
like to be
communication.
yeah, you like to be proven wrong in your face. When
I
somebody says
feel
something,
like I
nah,
have to.
I want to see it blow up in my face, and then I'm like,
I
oh, you
feel
were
like
right.
because I feel like in my mind, and I think part of the problem is I'm like, this should work because most of the time my cockamamie schemes work. You have seen Negro magic work when it should not work.
Sure,
And so in my head, I'm like, this should work. And then when it doesn't, I'm like, huh,
it didn't work.
that didn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
So for those people who watched it, I really appreciate you sticking with me. And they really did provide a lot of good questions and content. And if forgetting somebody, I forgot. It's just those are names off the top of my head.
sure.
But I enjoyed it. I really did. And I thought, and I want to. I think it was Renee who said, and we said this on another video. I know award shows get a bad rap. Hollywood award shows get a bad rap because it seems like there's a lot of them. But the one thing I will say is award shows, I think, are a good thing because it allows people who have worked very hard on something to provide us with entertainment, to be
Hmm.
recognized, to somebody who provided. Don't get me wrong, video games are art plus commercialism. So yeah, they're video games. They're sometimes millions, $1 billion operations, but it's nice to see people who worked hard recognized for their hard work for something that they probably toiled long hours away from their friends and family, not doing some other thing for the
Hmm.
so that we can enjoy. And I'm I think this is one of the things I think we have tried to do to bring more positivity, more nuance, and say, hey, it may not be the greatest game ever, but let's not shit on it, you know. And I think it was good to see people enjoy because it seemed like everybody enjoyed being there. Like even the
Hmm.
people who were like, "Why am I here?" Al Pacino was like, "You why?" And when he said Al Pacino, I literally had to look several times to make like I was like, "That's not Al Pacino." Like I was on Twitter, I was
Hmm.
watching the video game awards on multiple monitors because just in case I was like, "That really is Al Pacino." And Al
Yeah,
Pacino was like, "Why am I here?" And then when he explained, I was like, "Man,
video
that's
games have grown up.
that's what." But it wasn't just that; it was the fact of Al Pacino was able to articulate video games are not just for children.
Hmm.
They're not just frivolous things. Like that was something that I really enjoyed watching. And I will admit that I missed the accessibility vignettes that were from Facebook that happened in the past or maybe in Xbox. But video games are for everybody.
Hmm.
Baby Tashiro was talking about he wanted to get back into video games, or he should get back into video games. I think that was him. If not, I apologize. Um, but just he was one of our chatters was talking about that, and I was like, well, what do you like, man? Because there's a video game for you. Like my
Hmm.
wife watched Stray, and she was like, I'd play that. I'm going to buy Stray for my wife. So like there's a video game out there for you, and it was just nice to see some positivity and people like Chris Judge. Like, don't get me wrong, that Negro talked for 15 minutes, but
Um, I am mixed about that. I do like Chris Judge. I'm glad that he got his flowers, and I think everybody agree. I mean, there's a lot of good performances every year, so it's always tough to just pick one person.
mhm.
But he did a great job, um, and I feel like there's backstory that we don't know, and we probably never know in terms of him working on this particular God of War compared to the last one. I
But
feel like the
yeah,
scuttlebutt was like there was like some he might have had an injury or something that kind of delayed the game, but they never
well,
Sony
he said he
and
quit.
never well yeah, but also Sony also never talked about like they never because it would be so easy for a company to shit on the person who leaves them or whatever. Sony never did that. They let them work that out. I thought that was really nice of Sony
What do you mean the
and
person who
Santa
leaves them?
Monica. Sometimes like if somebody's like if they quit or if something happens to them, the big multi-billion dollar company will try to blame that single person.
Hmm.
Sony never really talked about like the delays, about like what happened to delay or why things didn't come out when they did. They just said, the game will come out when it comes out.
Well, I think part of it was I think because Chris Judge alluded to some of it, and part of it, like, don't get me wrong, Chris Judge was long winded because I kind of felt like he was in the moment, like he was like, I don't know, a
Oh,
lot of
Chris
people
Judge was feeling himself. He was like, I got
like,
stuff to say.
well, he was like, he got stuff to say, and I probably think he was like, I've been had this on my chest for so long, and I don't normally get this platform, and Al Pacino's standing right goddamn there, like Al Pacino's there. You didn't want to do this game because he mentioned the previous person, the director, left and was like, he says he quit, and he says that they told him, no, Eric, the guy he was talking about, no, he's the real deal, and you should stay, work on this game. And I really wish that, and maybe they have done it, and we just hadn't seen it yet. You remember when they did the Kratos documentary you talked about?
Raising Kratos, yeah.
Kratos. I would love to see them do one on this game
Hmm.
and interview everybody, because I really would like to know more about this whole idea of like where he was like, I didn't want to do video games. Like when I heard that Chris Judge was doing video games, I was a little shocked, but I was like, the Stargate guy?
Hmm.
I was like, and now to me, he's synonymous with God of War. He is Kratos to me. And
Hmm.
I'm the guy who started with the first one, the button mashing Kratos. Um, so I think it is interesting. And that's why I said I really appreciated his speech, although very long, gave away a lot of Steam Decks. Um, but I appreciated someone who got up there, who took a role, who embraced the role, and was rewarded for it.
Hmm.
I really did think that Negro was not listening to that music because they was playing his ass off for a while. And he was
Nah,
like,
yeah, he's like, nah, I'm here.
I'm here. And I kind of feel like, who's going to tell him to leave?
Yeah.
It's like, that's a large man.
Hmm.
Who's going to tell him to get off the stage? Like, who do you
Well,
sit out there?
maybe the same security they had to get that little kid off at the end.
We'll see. Here's the thing. When I was watching it, we all, so me and all the chatters and stuff, we were like, was he part of the group? And then you find out later on, no, he was just a kid who ran up on stage.
And wanted to thank his reformed rabbi or something. I was like,
Bill
what in
Clinton.
the world?
Have you
What is
seen the
this?
memes of Elden Ring with the person who's like this the sword in Elden Ring? He's doing like this, and it says for Bill Clinton. It's
Wow.
hilarious. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, no, I really enjoyed it. I really did. It was a nice palate cleanser for the
Hmm.
week to a certain extent because of just all the bad news that came out. You know, um, it
They
was
found that
really,
little girl.
they found that little
That was
girl.
that was nice. I had that in the show, um, in Charlotte. I was like,
Yeah,
that's good. But
yeah. So it
anyway,
was like,
go ahead.
so yeah, I'm always be a fan of like video game presentations. Um, to me, I would give this I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Wow.
I'm gonna give it
Because
a
you
4 out
you
of
are
5.
usually tougher about these presentations than I am.
I am, and the only reason why the reason why I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 was because outside of Chris Judge, it seemed like they tried to move it along. They had a
Oh, for
lot
sure.
in it, and it seemed
Yeah.
like they tried to move it along and to try to get a lot of things in there, and they stayed away from. And I'm not knocking this, but they stayed. And I know you talked about Reggie Fils-Aimé. They seem to highlight more of the creators of stuff, and they seem to like try to do a good job of like letting people who worked on these games, like when you saw Stray win for debut game, for indie debut, when you saw the creators behind Elden Ring, when you saw Hideo Kojima up there, you knew Kojima was going to show up. Like that's Jeff Keighley's boy.
Hmm.
That's, to me, that's arguably one of the best game developers, designers. I know you said Miyazaki. Is that
No, it said Miyamoto.
Miyamoto? Sorry. Um, so that is why I liked it more. It seemed, I know this is going to be weird to say, it seemed to be more gamer centric versus corporate pushing stuff. and maybe because I've already accepted these corporations are pushing their games. So, like when they had the actor who does Cal Kestis
Hmm.
came out, I thought that was pretty cool. You know, and again, I know you're hyping, you're selling something, but I thought these tie-ins were really cool, and I really enjoyed them.
Okay. Um, so then, is there anything you wish they could do differently to improve upon it for next year?
Yeah, I pacing's got to be a little better. It clocks in at 3 hours, and you feel the 3 hours. You talk about movies a lot of times that don't feel like 3 hours or feel like longer than they should be. Your big one is recently you talked about Ambulance. You were like you
Hmm.
felt that, and
It
I
just
was like,
kept going.
I loved it. Like just keep this shit rolling. And for
Hmm.
you, you felt it. I felt it in the video game awards.
Hmm.
I don't know what they can do to fix that, but even with doing everything that I was doing, I still felt the time. So it's for me
For
pacing.
me, yeah, I think pacing or spreading out your reveals differently,
Mhm,
and I don't know the behind the scenes of because clearly I think Jeff does an amazing job at what he does.
mhm.
Um, but I don't know, like, oh, in the first half hour we have to hit this commercial spot in order for me to pay for the rest of something else. So
Yeah.
I wish I knew what the behind the scenes were of that. But like in a perfect world where he can put anything wherever he wants, I kind of wish he would move some of the reveals around. Like I'm pretty sure the Hades 2 reveal actually happened in the pre-show. I don't think that happened in the show, which is kind of like wow. I feel like that's something you would say for the show. I could be wrong. I don't know.
So the Hades 2 reveal for me happened in the show.
Okay, well then
Did
it
it
must have been
happen
happening in the show.
did it I guess what I'm asking is, did it happen again in the pre-show? Did it happen first in the pre-show and then happen again in the show? Because I
No,
didn't
no,
watch the pre-show.
it only happened once. So then I'm getting my time
Okay.
confused. It only seemed to happen once.
So here's the thing. I tried to get on. Remember I called you to make sure I was doing everything right, and I was with the family beforehand. And I wanted to do like a pre-show and watch the pre-show and talk to people, but it wasn't able to happen. So
Hmm.
pacing, yes. Final Fantasy being at the end, I'm kind of like I get it, and I'm quite sure Square Enix paid for that, but that wasn't the mic drop for me only because and this is a separate video. A separate video. When I see a Final Fantasy game, I see a game I will never play because that is 100 hours.
Hmm.
That's over 100 hours. And
Hmm.
so Final Fantasy isn't the mic drop. And I'm not saying that it's not a bad game, that it's a bad game. I'm just saying I'm not jumping into a Final Fantasy because I have other things that I have to do.
So what would have been the mic drop moment for you? What would you have wanted at the
Maybe,
end?
honestly, Star Wars. I think Star Wars would have been, and I think it would have been
Star
better.
Wars.
Yeah, I think Star Wars would have been better, especially considering you had the actor who was Cal Kestis. Um, I think that would have been a better, but that had been already announced, so it's kind of hard to do a mic drop when you already told people.
I thought you
Um,
would have said DS2.
DS2 was big, but DS2 is very polarizing because it's polarizing because DS1 it was so polarizing because of you either love that game or you fucking hate that game.
Hmm.
And I love that game.
Hmm.
And so I'm in the camp of I've loved that game. I'm going to buy the director's cut. I just hadn't bought it yet. And I'm going to play it again. And I'm going to play it again. I just need some space in between it because that game is heavy. I loved it. Um, but I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, does this? Because I knew the song. I was like, I know that song. I was like, no, there, because it
Hmm.
just came out. Like you've already announced the sequel. That game just came out. You
That game
just
came
really
out like 3 years ago at this point,
the
right?
director's cut just came out. What this year?
Yeah, maybe that did. But I
That's
mean, the original
what I'm
game has
saying is
been out
that
for like a
what
minute.
I'm saying is the game has been out for about 2 years.
Hmm.
The director's cut came out this year. you're already announcing a sequel? Like that caught me off guard. Like I was in disbelief that that game was coming out.
Did you
And it,
think that his studio was working on a different game?
yes, because you know there's a rumor or there's a report that Kojima is working on the Xbox game
Right.
for Microsoft, and I thought that was going to be announced. So when I saw DS2, I was like, I'm seeing a lot of things that looks like Death Stranding.
Hmm.
You're not about to give me a Death Stranding 2.
Hmm.
So I was caught off guard. That was a big reveal. Um, but again, and I'm not a producer as far as like in the realm that you are, but I do agree that pacing needs something needs to happen. I just don't know how that needs to happen yet because I don't know all the
I
particulars.
I think the issue is because his show, like any other award show, does have commercial breaks in it.
Mhm.
But because the commercials are usually around video games, sometimes some people
You
it
don't
can be
realize
hard
that
to
that's a
tell.
commercial break.
Yeah, you can be like, "Is this part of the show? Is this a commercial break?" I'm like, "Okay, well, I can't really
Hmm.
count this." It kind of changed everything. It's a weird show to deal with. I
Hmm.
really would like to know the behind the scenes of how they put it all together every year, just because I think it's a fascinating thing. Like, I would love to see
Um,
what that rundown looks like.
yes, yes. Here's my question for you.
Hmm.
What surprised you about the Video Game Awards? Because this is something we talked about a
Al
little bit.
Pacino.
Al Pacino. But what I want to ask you is, video game wise, what did you see that piqued your interest? You were like, oh, I didn't know about that.
Um,
And what did you like? What did you expect to see and you didn't see?
I think it was kind of weird that we didn't see any major. I don't think we saw any first party Microsoft games.
Nope.
Um, Phil Spencer, I love Uncle Phil. I think he does a good job, but and even he has said, "Yo, we got to get our games out." And
Hmm.
this was a time to show them games. They still ain't showing them games. We do know that Diablo 4 was recently previewed by a bunch of media outlets
We
recently.
did see
So
something for Diablo 4 though. We did see we get Halsey and
yeah,
we got a trailer. We got another
yeah,
trailer. Um,
yeah. But for me, I guess yeah, Diablo is
Blizzard and
Blizzard,
Activision.
right? So that ain't owned by Microsoft yet.
No.
So I want to see something from a true first party Microsoft studio showing. Okay,
Question.
here's what we got. This yet.
A true first party Microsoft game or a Microsoft would you be okay with a company that Microsoft bought? Because you know they were on a buying spree this year.
Oh, I mean, I consider a company that they bought a first party
Okay.
studio. So yeah, that's fine.
Reason
Sure.
because we know like PlayStation Studios. We know what a PlayStation Studio game, even though it could be Santa Monica, it could be Naughty Dog. It's the umbrella's PlayStation Studios. That's
Hmm.
what I'm asking. Like if they that was something, and that's what I was shocked by. We didn't see Redfall. We didn't see Starfield. We know those games are slated to come out next year.
Hmm.
Redfall at first quarter supposedly of 2023. Um, we hadn't seen anything from those two games, and those are their big tent poles for the year.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw something might have been June or whatever when Xbox did its thing when they
Hmm.
talked about what's coming up the next year. So it would have been nice to see more of that stuff, just to be like Microsoft, like, hey, we're here, we're doing stuff because we saw Sony stuff, we saw Nintendo stuff. Nintendo has a Bayonetta Origins game. I played the first Bayonetta, I enjoyed it. I haven't played the other two, but Bayonetta Origins, sure, more Nintendo stuff. Let's get into it. Um, so just seeing something from Microsoft would have been nice. That was probably what I was probably most shocked by, or surprised that I didn't see. Um, I think it was cool that, and I just had on the tip of my tongue what showed, and I was like, oh, that was cool.
Hmm.
Um, come back to me. I gotta think about it.
So one of the things that I was shocked, not just from Microsoft, but also from Nintendo, we did not see Zelda, Metroid 4. And I know that those games are way in the future if they ever come out. Um, it is shocking what we like. There were certain games that we know that are coming out that are slated. We've gotten updates for them. We know we're getting a Perfect Dark, a reboot of that series. We know we're supposed to get a new Splinter Cell. This is the 20th anniversary of Splinter Cell this year. We didn't get anything at the 20th anniversary. I kind of expected to get something. Michael Ironside's voice, like something. We know a Mass Effect game is coming. We got nothing for that. We know there's a Spider-Man 2 game. We know there's a Wolverine game. Like, it was just interesting what we didn't get, but also I felt it lacking in the sense of, and Renee put this on our channel, a comment. The number one, and I want to read it exactly as he wrote it. I don't have it exactly, and now I don't want to crash my computer because you know.
Mm-hmm.
He said number one is promote the games coming out. Number two is promote two. Two is to promote the games that are out now. I saw promotion for Game Pass. I saw Callisto Protocol. Didn't see Last of Us Part 1, which to me, I thought I would have seen more of that. Thought of maybe a trailer for the show coming out next month. I thought there would have been maybe more emphasis on some of the stuff that's out now, considers the holiday season. Promote what you have out right now. And
now, when you say promote what you have, you're talking about the companies, because like the Game Awards wouldn't, like, I don't feel like the Game Awards and Jeff Keighley care about promoting what's out now.
See, and that's where I have a problem. And if that's true, I have a problem with that, because that to me is the perfect time to promote what's out now, because so much comes out. You may have forgotten something came out. And so if you see that during the video game awards, you're like, oh yeah, let me put this on my wish list. Let me tell so-and-so about this. I need to pick this up. And I think I don't want to get too far off track, but I had a conversation with Van Lott, who I work with. He'll never see this, but friend of the show. Van Lott is a photographer and an editor, very big sports person. We had a disagreement about Naomi Osaka, in the sense of where she was like, I have issues with talking to the media. And Van was like, part of the reason why she's required to talk to the media is because it is her job to promote tennis. It is her job to promote the game of tennis, because the game of tennis is a niche game that has to find its footing among golf, baseball, hockey, football, and football. Everything else. It is her job to talk to the media, not only to talk about a performance, what happened, but to promote the game of tennis. Jeff Keighley in the Video Game Awards, their job and responsibility is not just to promote what's coming out, but to promote what is already out. And
I would disagree with that.
And okay. So what I say all of that to say, I think part of his job is to put on a good show, and maybe it takes Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, them putting more of an emphasis on the games that are out now and making them do it. But I do believe that some of that needs to be done, because I think getting that word out helps the community as a whole, because so much comes out. Perfect example, we talk about television. We talk about streaming services, Netflix. Like, you could play something and then forget this came out. So how are you going to know to pick this game up if no one is telling you this game came out? And I think that's part of what I missed from the Video Game Awards. Like, I would like to have seen Dead Space, more Dead Space stuff. Not like, don't get me wrong, I know Dead Space is coming out, but does the average gamer, the average person know Dead Space is coming out, and it's going to be a ground up reboot, remake on a new engine?
I'm curious what the statistics are of the people who watch. Like, are the game, because in my mind, I feel like the Game Awards are watched by gamers who really game more so than the casual gamer.
Okay.
In my mind. So if that's the case, I feel like they already know all this stuff. I feel like Jeff caters to that audience of I'm not going to show you something that's coming out in 2 or 3 weeks because you already know
Okay.
in my mind.
Okay.
But
Like I said, I just that was for me. That was one of the things. The what didn't we see was a real big like, huh? I was like,
mhm,
hmm, because there are certain things that were announced. Dragon Age, Dreadwolf. Still don't know anything about it.
mhm,
Like we know Solus is the bad guy, but you didn't give me anything more than that 4 minute trailer that came out a couple of years ago. So it was just
mhm,
that's kind of the kind of stuff that I was like, huh. Um, Judas was so the one thing that I will say that I did like Forspoken. I downloaded the demo for Forspoken. I'm really excited about that game. Like I
mhm.
really want to know more about it.
Have
That
you played the
world.
demo yet, or just
I
downloaded it?
downloaded the demo. I will play it, and when I play it, I will stream it. So I'll make
Mhm.
an announcement. Hey, I'm playing Forspoken. I was really excited about that. I will say I was excited about Justice League. Uh,
That was what I was trying to get to. Yeah,
Now I
I
will.
I really like the fact that when they did the announcement, it ended with they ended with a Kevin Conroy, we love you, Kevin thing. That
Mhm.
that that touched me. And that was a really big moment. Like, oh, this
It
is
was. It was. I will say I would have done it differently, but I like how they did it.
hmm
I like what they did. I personally I would have done it differently. I would have made it more about Kevin Conroy, but I know you got to sell a game. So, but
hmm
that's just me. That's another game that I probably will pick up. But there was a lot of stuff that was announced that I was like, huh. And there was a lot of stuff that I was like, oh, that's missing. That's interesting. Why was that not on?
Okay. So is there any celebrity you would want to see come to the Game Awards? Like you'd be like, oh, they need to try and get this person.
No, this is what I will say. I don't think you should try to get certain celebrities. I think you should put a poll out or try to reach celebrities who game.
hmm
That's what I think is missing. I think here's the problem, and I don't know how you do it or what you do. Do you know who would have been a big hit and we have never seen him?
What, Henry Cavill?
Boom. We know Henry Cavill games.
hmm
There are more Henry Cavills out there. There are more um, the man married to Sofia Vergara who played Deathstroke for like a
Yeah,
brief second. Joe
big
Manganiello.
strong man. Yeah.
Joe Manganiello. That's a man.
hmm
That's a man. Um, don't get me wrong. I love that you had Al Pacino there. Like Al Pacino, one of the greats. The fact that you had Scarface at the Video Game Awards, like imagine telling your 14-year-old self, Scarface is going to introduce the God of War game for PlayStation.
hmm
You could be like, who are you and why do you smell like piss? Because
Jesus.
you're not gonna believe it. You're gonna believe that this weird homeless person
hmm
who is literally from the future who peed on himself because and I say he because no woman is dumb enough. It's gonna be a guy that's gonna get talked into hopping into some machine to go back in time because women are
Okay.
smarter than us. So and he's gonna pee on himself because whatever it takes to travel back in time is gonna jostle you. You're either gonna pee on yourself or you're gonna vomit. And as a child, you're gonna be at 14. Who in the fuck are you? And why do you smell like this? You're not gonna believe it.
hmm
So I'm all on board with Al Pacino. But what would really help is if you found actors and actresses and celebrities who actually game. You brought up Michelle Rodriguez,
hmm
and she said to Ken, right?
hmm
That's my point right there. Get some people who actually pick up a controller and people who have enthusiasm for this. Keanu Reeves probably games.
hmm
If he doesn't, that man is the greatest actor of all time. Because he made me believe he does. But
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like that's where I think we will elevate and get to that point where you get people. The fact that Henry Cavill has not been at a video game award is a travesty. It's a crime because
sure.
that's Superman, that's Geralt, that's the villain from Mission Impossible. He fought Tom Cruise, almost killed Tom Cruise.
He ain't about to kill Tom Cruise.
Man, he's been
Please,
close. He's been the
you ain't going
closest. He's been hey,
Tom Cruise.
he's
Okay.
been the closest. Um, Imagine if Henry Cavill walked out on stage. Like, I think that might be one of the best gets. And that's the reason why I said it, is because that's a person who's involved in our community, who is a gamer, who's all of the things we talk about, but also looks like someone who wouldn't be a part of our community.
Hmm.
Let's be honest. Everybody who games, the consensus is they're 40-year-old virgin. The consensus is they look like this. Henry Cavill don't look like that.
Hmm.
And so that's what I would like to see more of. That's where I think the video game awards could improve. Get some people who actually pick up a controller. And if you can do that, you provide so much more, because this is the thing that I really enjoyed. When was it Troy Baker and who's the girl who plays Ellie? I'm trying to remember her name is. But when
Ashley
they were
Johnson.
Ashley Johnson, when they were talking to Pedro Pascal
Hmm.
and they were talking to Bella Ramsey, is that her name? Yes, Bella. I believe it's Bella Ramsey. Um, you could tell that was a Spider-Man moment. That was
Hmm.
You could tell there was genuine enthusiasm, and yet it didn't work when they said the whole things together. But you could tell they were like, "I love you as Ellie and goddamn Joel. I love you as Ellie and Joel." Like,
Hmm.
that was a great moment, and we need more of those.
Sure. I think Jeff is on the right path, and I think
Mhm.
he's getting more right than wrong for sure.
True, I'll
I
give you
do
that.
think I think the shows get better every year, so I can't wait till number 10 comes out. And he did something. He talked about something. They're gonna do some type of live concert in June.
Yes. Mhm.
I would love to try and
I
get
would,
tickets for that.
man, I would love to go to
That would
that.
be awesome just to hear live
Ever
orchestrated
since you
music.
told me about going to San Diego and seeing was it San Diego or San Francisco Orchestra?
San Diego Orchestra.
Okay, because I know
Yeah.
the San Francisco Orchestra is big, and I
Yeah.
know they're a deal. When you talked about like listening to video game music and like
Hmm.
like again,
Hmm.
when you talked about that, I like video game music is so wonderful. When they had Hosier up there doing the God of War song, and then
Hmm.
they had Halsey, I was like, whoo, be
Yeah.
still my
I think
heart.
Jeff
That
does a
was
good job about getting musical acts. Yeah.
because last year, didn't they have churches? Or was that the year before?
Might have been the year before.
Hmm.
I think it was the year before. Yeah.
So yeah, because you know what, you're right. Because last year might have been that medley they had because they had Arcane up there.
Yep.
Yep. So for you're right. That was pretty good, and I like the fact that he's teasing something else. He's like, hey, not just resting on my laurels, fucking working here.
Hmm.
I got shit I'm doing.
Yeah. I wonder if there is more ways to get the community involved. And I think he does a pretty good job of that because the community does get to vote on some of the awards and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I think that's cool. I wonder if there's more opportunities for interaction with the community because, and I think they did do this before during the pre-show with Sydney Goodman, where she would read out like some tweets or different photos from people. I wonder if they could do that more during the show. But again, if you do that, what are you going to take away to keep up with the pacing? I don't know. It's a big giant
Well,
jigsaw
how about
puzzle.
this? You talk about having more of the community involved. They have the award for content creator. I really like personally they had Glass Onion up there.
Hmm.
Jessica Henwick.
I was hoping that Glass Onion was going to be talking about a new Hitman 3 level, but go ahead.
Maybe in your pre-show, you have more involvement from the community in the form of content creators, video game actors and actresses. Maybe you do more considering and 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 I know it's a lot to do. So like when you're Chris Judge, you just want to come, sit, have your little white sidekick next to you,
A white sidekick. That's
I don't
his
know what else
son,
to
sir.
I don't know what else to call him, man.
Call him his son.
Hmm, I say that not like I don't have light skinned kids who do not look like me. I was about to say they don't look like him. He doesn't look like him. I was like, mm,
Your
a
kids,
little,
yeah.
little close to home.
Yeah.
But like maybe have like in the pre-show more things in the community. Like, and I say this, maybe you have somebody like a girlfriend reviews do like a video.
Hmm.
Like because I personally enjoy them. I really do. I love their banner, I love their videos. I think they do a good job. So maybe you have something like that, little things in the show. Like they had Animal. I thought Animal was great. I thought Animal was a little too on the nose because Animal was like, he was saying some real shit. And I was like,
Jeff Keighley loves the Muppets, so
oh,
you'll
I
get
love
this.
the Muppets too. Like,
Yeah.
bravo.
Yeah.
Maybe that is how you get more of the community involved. But I will say, I was blown away by Death Stranding 2 being announced. I really enjoyed, and I was kind of iffy on Jedi Fallen Order. I'm gonna be honest with you, Jedi Survivor. They
Hmm.
in the words of Al Pacino, was it Al Pacino? Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Now, you know what? That's not Al Pacino, but that phrase, I thought I was out.
Hmm.
They pulled they pulled me back in. So Destiny pulled me back in. I was like, you know what? I
We had
need to,
seen that Destiny trailer before, though.
but it was just maybe it's kind of like when you talk about the season,
Hmm.
you know, maybe it was that whole they got me. I was like, you know what,
Sure.
Destiny, I need to pick you back up again. For you,
Okay.
what did you what do you need going forward for next time? So 10's the big one. What do you need for 10?
I think it would be cool, and see, what I need is probably not what everybody else's needs. Because again, if
Yeah,
it were to
because you
go
want it to be
longer, I'd be
five
cool with
hours.
that. Not that I want it to be 5 hours. I'd be
Yeah, you do.
cool if it was 5 hours.
You wouldn't
But
turn it
but to
down.
do that, that's what I just said. Listen as I talk, and you'll know what I'm saying. So, okay, thank you. Um, I think if they were to do something like that, give me a bunch of retrospectives about looking back at, like, oh, this is what it took to get here for 10 years.
Oh,
I think
that's
that would be
good.
cool. Like,
That's
give
a
me different types
producer
of,
in you.
yeah, give me different types of vignettes about that. I think that would be interesting. And then maybe you play one of them during the show, and then you like,
Mhm.
hey, go to our website, you can see the other ones, that type of thing. But
Who
I think
so who
more things like that.
so who would you do? Would you select just one game or one system, or would you do like a all encompassing and then say, hey, if you want to see Xbox, you want to see Sega,
Oh,
Microsoft.
you misinterpreted. Sorry, I meant the behind the scenes of how we got to the video game award show 10 years ago.
Oh, see, I thought you were
I want the
talking
behind
about.
the scenes like that.
Oh, so I thought when you talked about it, I thought you meant like how we got here. I thought you meant the history of gaming. That's what I
Oh
thought you meant.
no, just because like I like the idea, but
Hence
I
why
don't know.
I put not listening. I wasn't listening. I
Yeah,
didn't get what I thought you went. I thought you meant something totally different. I
but
apologize.
I like your idea too. But my only issue with that is it's hard to line up the 10 years versus the 40, 50 years at this point of video games in terms of lining up one to one of whatever. I don't
See, I
know.
don't think so. I think you can talk about like. See, here's where I think you can do that in lining up the behind the scenes of how we got here 10 years. You interview those people and then you separately cut. Well, what got you into gaming? And then that's separate. And you do a big. Here's the history of gaming,
Hmm.
and then you do the behind the scenes, sprinkle it throughout. Here's how we got here. But then you have like the big presentation of the history of gaming, and then you do your whole like you talked about before. You get Jeff Keighley to bring out, and maybe you get Jeff Keighley to bring out some of the original CEOs of head of divisions from Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. Maybe you get maybe you get like maybe an old school designer from the original Sega or
Hmm.
TurboGrafx 16. Or you see what I'm saying? Like maybe you get somebody who was like integral to Game Boy. Maybe you do that that like
Well, he
how we
dead.
got. Okay, maybe not that one, that
I'm just
particular
saying
one.
that dude dead. But
Maybe not that.
okay,
There are other people.
okay.
I guess to me, that's one of the things that I think. And it's funny that you brought this up because that's how I read it. When you were talking about how we got here, I wasn't thinking about video game awards. I'm thinking about gaming.
Hmm.
I'm thinking about how we got here gaming wise, because
Sure.
retro gaming is such a big deal right now. Where I think there are a lot of people who actually, I look at gaming like sports. The video game world like sports, in the sense of there are a lot of dudes with sports who know all of the old facts, all of the old stats, the way the game used to be played. Gaming has gotten there. There are people
Hmm.
who remember Pong. There are people who remember the first Nintendo, the first Sega, ColecoVision, Intellivision, Amiga, Nintendo, Commodore 64. There are people who remember that, and those people are still alive. And so, like, I think that's where the video game awards would shine a light on some of these people, because you can't get Idris Elba, sexy man as he is, doing Cyberpunk without going back and looking at some of these old school games like a System Shock.
Hmm.
There's no way you get there without those things.
Sure. This year, and I don't know if you paid attention, did they do an Icon Award?
I
I don't think
don't
they
think they
did.
did. I don't
And
think
they've
they
done it
did.
the past 2 years. Because the last year, I want to say, I feel like it was a woman who was like
Mhm.
one of the first people to help create Atari games. And the year before that, it might have been somebody from Visual Concepts. And I can't remember past those two. But I kind of remember that being a thing. Like, oh, okay, here's an industry pioneer. I thought that was interesting that they didn't do that this year. I don't know why.
Let me ask you this. We talked about what they didn't do well or what you would improve. What did you like? What was one of the shining highlights for you? Because this is your week.
That's what we've been talking about the entire time.
No, like I'm talking about one thing. Like, what was the one thing that you were like, oh, that's like, as a producer, like they something that they put on that caught you off guard, that you were like, because like you watch shows. So here's the thing: you watch shows, you watch television, you watch movies. There are times that you're like, that was okay, and there are times you're not impressed.
Hmm.
But what in the video game awards caught you off guard that you were like, okay, I see you, video game awards. I see you, Jeff Keighley.
It probably would have been Al Pacino if you hadn't spoiled it for me.
Really?
Yeah, because that's not something that you expect at the video game
Really?
awards. You don't expect a name like that to be at the video game awards. You're
Okay.
like, oh wow,
I
and
actually feel bad. Actually,
especially because it started off the whole award show. You're like, oh
oh,
man, this is where we're going. Dang, that's
I've actually
crazy.
feel bad about spoiling it now, because I like,
Well, there you go.
it was a
But
big deal. It was a big deal.
was it? You felt it?
It was a big deal in the sense of I didn't believe it.
Hmm.
I was like, how much money y'all got? It's
Yeah,
like, and either it was almost like, how much money y'all got, or Al Pacino, how much money do you owe? It's
sure.
like,
How
it,
many places of taxes you got to return or pay?
so for me, that wasn't it. For me, it was, I think the musical performances once again. I want to meet the people who put that together, because
Hmm.
I've done musical performances. I've shot so many different things, and every single time they blow me the fuck away.
That was not songs of the season. That was not songs of the season at all. Just saying. That's what I said. What you wanted to say.
First of all,
Hmm.
first of all, I hate you. And I respect you for saying it, because I couldn't.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because let me tell you, when the holiday season comes every year, I hate it every year for songs of the season. Ooh, I have a tear in my eye because of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I really enjoy the orchestra for sure. The Video Game Awards orchestra. I think they do a great job, and I love the way that for the nominees they'll play part of the nominees' songs,
Mhm.
and they weave them all together into one big piece. I think that's great.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome. At the end, yeah, you're right. Like, that's that vignette at the end where they go from Aloy to God of War to
mhm.
Plague's Tale. I'm like, what is, like,
Yeah,
bravo.
it's
Yeah, I'm
very
with you
good.
on that.
I would honestly I could maybe do with another musical performance Like I could probably do with 3 musical performances and the game show and the Game Awards orchestra. I'd be cool with that.
Because we had Hosier with God of War, and then we had Halsey with Lilith in the background for Diablo 4.
Hmm.
So who would be your third, considering everything that's coming out now? Who would you be? Who would be your third music wise? Whose game music captivated you enough to that would warrant a performance at the Video Game Awards?
Whoever did, I really enjoyed the music from Horizon Forbidden West.
Okay,
So that would have been cool for me, something like that.
all right,
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's wrap this up.
Hmm.
So we watched the Video Game Awards. Anybody who watched it with me, thank you. I appreciate it. Working on some of those kinks so that when we do this next year, uh, good Lord willing, um, we won't have these same problems, and we'll both be off so that we're able to do it together and
Sure.
be able to have this banter while we watch it and stream it. Um, like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know how we're doing, what we could be doing better. Subscribe, hit that bell so you can get notifications because we got content. We go talk about stuff. We want to hear from you. Well, I want to hear from you. Michael ain't gonna answer these comments. He's not gonna talk to you. I will,
Yeah.
because that's the kind of person I am.
Nice. Hmm. Indeed.
You can follow us here on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Hive. On Twitch, you will see me playing more video games because I linked my YouTube, Facebook account. Not Facebook. What's the thing called? The PlayStation. Yeah. I linked it. So now you can watch me curse and scream as I play this.
Well, can they watch you curse and scream? Because are you playing with the audio headset?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Did you not hear me like yelling at the dog when the dog ran up on me? And I was like,
No.
get the fuck off of me. Like, I
No.
scared, Bamboo scared the shit out of me, dude. Like,
Okay.
it was one of those moments where like nothing happened, but you're on edge and you're playing and you're like, what's that? What's that sound?
Okay.
And Bamboo came up and was like, hey, man, what you doing? And I was like, God, you going to a home.
Going to a
Wait.
home. There you go. Sending
So,
dogs to homes. Like, comment, subscribe. Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. So like I have it on. So if you want to watch me have more nightmare fuel, I have to have a little bit of liquid courage because I'm not gonna lie to you. As much as I love this game is creepy as hell. I'm enjoying it, so come enjoy it with me.
Okay. We out. Peace.
Deuces.